Hello and welcome to another episode of the Popcorn Conspiracy. I'm Dave G, and joining me now is my co-host.
Hello everybody, I'm Kyle.
And today we're going to be taking a look at probably one of the most unusual movies that we've ever taken a look at on this show. It's a new film from director, actor, writer, Ryland Brixton Cole Choose. Yep, that is his whole name there. The movie is called Lake Michigan Monster. Now, I really expected going into this movie that it was going to be like some kind of DC grade horror with college girls getting eaten by a monster in a lake. Instead, this movie is kind of it's a horror, it's also a sci-fi, it's also a comedy, and it's part musical. It basically centers around a character called Seafeld, which is played by Ryland Brixton Cole Choose, and he's kind of this nutter sea captain who wants revenge for his father's death at the hands of a monster in Lake Michigan. Now, most people think that he's an absolute nutcase and it didn't really happen, but he is so convinced that it happened that he puts together this super team made up of Sean Shaughnessy, played by Eric West, Nedge Pepsi, played by Belua Peters, and Dick Flynn, played by Daniel Long. And they embark on a journey to try and capture this monster. And I'm pretty sure early on we see that Sean, Nedge, and Dick don't even believe that this monster exists either. So, as I said, it's a horror comedy / sci-fi, and it's very, very different. So, mate, I guess I've got to ask, what did you think of this movie? Because this film is so unusual and so weird, but I liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. Like I said, it's a very odd little movie, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. The style of it reminded me a lot of the short silent films of Georges Méliès.
Yeah.
Like the silent movie era fantasy filmmaker. The guy, he was the focus of the Martin Scorsese movie Hugo.
Yep.
It has that same kind of crazy use of like animation, like a mix of animation and live action, and like none of it looks realistic, but somehow it all fits together. Like, it's really such a bizarre like little film. It's really hard to recommend it to people, I think.
Yeah.
But I found it to be very hilarious at times, and even though there's not really much of a traditional story or characters in it, I found it like just entertaining the entire time. What did you think of it, dude?
Yeah, it's very kind of Charlie Chaplin meets the Three Stooges with that old style kind of
black and white kind of.
Yeah, it is a black and white film. We should point that out as well. But it has that feeling of like the very early, like even Orson Welles kind of feel to it as well. It's just it. And it's really funny because, like, so many people I know would probably watch this movie and say, oh, they don't like what it's doing and stuff like that. They can't get into it. But you do get these people coming along, like filmmakers and comedians every few years that have their own style. I mean, I know a lot of people who weren't that big on Napoleon Dynamite or weren't that big on, like, Freddy Gets Fingered, stuff like that. Like, that other people really love. Like, comedy is a very, I know I'm taking a line here from Jimmy Carr, but comedy is something that's very different for every individual. Someone might hear a joke and say that's poor taste. The next person might hear a joke and think it's hilarious. It's the same with this movie. Some people will try and watch this film, and if they're used to like romantic comedies and stuff like that you would see at a megaplex, they're not going to like this movie. But if they're kind of more into like cult cinema and stuff like that, then I think this is a film that a lot of people are actually going to warm to.
Yeah, like it's kind of like a mix of Monty Python and Tim and Eric, like that live action animation thing. But I really liked how the movie was filmed as well, like how the camera captures the action using like very like weird angles and close-ups, and it all just it really blended well with the animation and just adds to the whole insanity of it all.
Yeah.
Like, it really does seem like an amateurish movie that friends would make. Just a group of friends. Like the actors are clearly not professionals, and like the production design is extremely cheap all the way through it. But I never found it to be a lazy movie.
No.
You know, like a movie that we both really enjoyed, that Searching movie with John Cho.
Yeah.
Like that, I'd like to know how much time was spent on post-production work of the film compared to the actual filming. Because there's really quite a large amount of animation work in this movie.
Yeah.
Like even when it feels cheap and amateurish, it still kind of adds to the charm of the film. And like, you see how cheap some of the costumes or the monster makeup looks, but with the animation and the humor, it all really works for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising like that, because at some parts it feels like... It reminded me of a TV show that you and I love, a show that was on in the 90s, the Late Show that the DJN did, and they had such a low budget that some of the stuff like Shit Scared, one of their segments, was basically filmed on like cameras that at that time dads would use to film their kids in the backyard, like at a birthday party. Like, that's how low their budget was. And for this film, some of that feels like that, and then you get this extraordinary scenes that are like supposed to be underwater, and like of sheer fantasy, and it just reminds me of those early sci-fi movies where they had like paper mache moons and rockets crashing into them, and like, but it actually looked pretty good on screen.
Yeah, like just that wackiness and zaniness of it really made them, like, I found it to be really hilarious at times with comedy.
Yeah.
As well, like it's just like so off the wall insane that like what you're seeing, it like I couldn't help but laugh all the way through it. There's just like hundreds of sight gags or ridiculous things that the characters are saying or doing that you've got no idea what the movie is going to throw at us next.
Yeah. And like, having jokes covering up some of that as well, like Seafeld's like wife Martha is actually Lucille Tews, which is Ryland Chew's mum in real life.
Yeah.
So they make a joke about that. Aha, yes, she looks old enough to be my mother, but she is in fact my wife. It's like having jokes like that in there, like I like that kind of thing, because when I was at film school, one of my first films that we shot was a group of friends and I, and we completely stuffed up and we forgot to white balance the camera. So there was this blue tinge, like, all the way through the film. And we made a joke about it. Oh, it's very European, can't you tell by the blue tinge? And it's like that kind of thing. Like, they've put into this to cover up those kinds of things, and it works, like, really, really genius.
Yeah, like, just little weird parts in there that just are really just hilarious to watch. Like, if you can get behind, like, the movie's, none of it's really to be taken seriously, and if you can get behind that, like, and how much of a wild trip the movie is, then, like, I think you'll have a great time with it. Like, even in that scene with his mother / wife, like, she, like, walks off screen, like, she's supposed to leave the scene, but then, like, it cuts back to him later, and you can see she's just kind of standing in the doorway, like, just off camera. Well, not off camera, but just, like, off to the side.
Yeah.
And it's like, so what's she doing standing there? It's like she doesn't know that she's still in frame.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of other, like, little things that I found funny, like how close to the shore the characters are searching for this monster.
Yeah.
It's like, literally, like, because, what was it, what was it that the unit of measurement that they use? And you say it's 1 fathom?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Yeah. But, yeah, it's like, you know how far, that's like 10 feet. Yeah, and it's like that's where the monster attack happened, like 10 feet off the shore.
Yeah.
And so they're just ridiculously close. And like other times, like when they're searching for the monster, and they try like this one plan of what they're going to do, and it doesn't work. And then later on, they try pretty much the exact same thing, except this time they're all going to swap costumes for no reason whatsoever. And like there's one time where it was also just this one time where like they're just traveling in a boat, and I guess the boat got hit by like a wave. It's like that's something that happened when they're actually filming the movie. They just got hit by a sudden wave, and it just comes out of nowhere, and the characters just go, "Oh Jesus!" And like it just cuts really quickly away from that. And it's like just stuff like that in the movie. I just found to be like really, really funny the entire time.
Yeah, I really love the humor of Ryland Shoes as well. Like, I really get a feeling that that he has his own style of humor, and I don't know, like I could really see him coming through, like being someone like a Jim Carrey who kind of like not only creates roles for himself, but like people know what Jim Carrey's humor is like, so they cast him in those movies that works for him. And I kind of see the same thing here, but I don't know, I'd really like to see Ryland Shoes, Eric West, Balua Peters, and Daniel Long stick together and keep working, because like together, because it almost feels like there's a comedy troupe in the making with those guys, because there's so many moments in this that like really stands out, and it stands out because their humor works so well together. Like, I've been walking around for the weeks after I watched this going, haha, Shaughnessy, like it just sticks with you, like in the performances. And when you look at the, like on IMDb, you realize that like for most of them, they didn't have any experience at all. It really was just a group of friends getting together to make a movie, and the fact that it works. But like I said before, it's a difficult movie to recommend, and like unless you like obscure films, because one of the things I've also noticed is with reviews of this film, there's no middle ground. People either really love it or they really hate it. There's no 3 stars or 3.5 stars. It's either 5 or it's 1. Like, yeah, but if you like obscure cinema, go and watch this movie. It's the only thing I can say about it, really.
Yeah, like to build on what you're saying about the characters kind of having a like the real chemistry together, like if you're going to complain about like the characters of the story or anything like that, like it really does feel like you're missing the point. But one of the only things that really kind of bothered me was how in the last act of the movie, it was really just the character of Seafield, and his crew of specialists just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
That's like, I know it's such a wacky movie that it's kind of an odd thing to complain about, but it's the one thing that kind of stood out to me as being kind of a bit of a misstep. Like, his crew are with him on this entire quest through the whole movie, and they're the only people he's talking to the entire time. And like you said, they have such a great chemistry together, even though they're obviously not professional actors or anything like this, but they have just great chemistry together. And like, especially like, yeah, the scenes between him and Nedge Pepsi, the sonar specialist.
Yeah.
And then just when they decide to not follow him anymore, it was like the one part of the film where I couldn't just relax and allow the movie to just take me on this ride, because I kept expecting him to show up again.
Yeah.
Like like, what was the point of having so much of what was the point of having so much of these characters at the start if for really the last third of the movie they're going to just completely disappear? And I thought that was a pity, because that was really when the movie went on full-on crazy, fantastical special effects and underwater chase sequences and stuff like action scenes and things like that. Like, it's really the one part of the movie that didn't sit well with me, but everything else about it I loved. Like, even that whole final sequence is still really entertaining. It's just I guess I missed some of the other characters in the movie, and I don't know, I guess it's if I'm trying to look, if I'm actually trying to look for something that I can say, well, I didn't really like that, that'd probably be the only part. Was there much about it that, like, even knowing the type of movie it was there really much about it that you could say that you didn't like?
No, not really. Like I said, and the fact that it's only 78 minutes as well, I think that kind of helps as well, because, look, to be perfectly honest, a movie that we've talked about on this show before, The Lighthouse, if I had to choose between sitting back down and watching Lake Michigan Monster or The Lighthouse again, I would watch Lake Michigan Monster, purely because of the fact...
the same style.
Yeah, and purely because of the fact I enjoyed it a lot more. Like, for me, still one of the things that I judge a movie on the most is, do I enjoy it? Like, do I enjoy it? Would I want to watch it again? And with this film, yeah, I'd love to. Like, it's... I don't know, it's just one of those movies where when you watch it, you really get that feeling about, this is a movie you have to tell everybody to go out and watch. But it's also one of those movies where you kind of get that excitement of kind of wondering where the filmmaker's going to go after this. It was like when I watched Brick. Like, I absolutely adored Brick, and my first thought was, I wonder where this director's going to go after this. That's exactly the same feeling that I get with this film as well.
Yeah, that's he has done a few other things in the past, and yeah, I'm really interested to see where he goes myself. I guess once things get kind of back to normal, I see he has like another movie coming up called Hundreds. What was it? I'm trying to find out what the name of this other movie that he was working on. Hundreds of Beavers. He has some movie coming up, and I don't know. Just the name of that makes me think, this might be something kind of crazy and similar to this. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where he goes from here as well.
Definitely. Well, I guess to sum up, what are you going to give this 1 out of 5 and why?
I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. Like I said, it does have like an amateurish feel to it, and I'm not even going to really look into that one part that I'm saying that I didn't really care much for, but I'd say it was really enjoyable film. The animation sequences I thought were just really great, and it was such a fun movie. I know it didn't really have much of the way of character motivation, all that kind of stuff, but it was, like you said, it's like what's important is just it's an enjoyable, funny movie, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like if this was a movie that went for even an hour and a half, it might have just gotten, the whole concept might have just gotten boring. You know, like the whole style of it might have just gotten a bit tedious after a while, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's really funny, and even just the animation stuff. It's sometimes I almost kind of forgot how like I said, it seems amateurish. It seems kind of like cheap, but then you say, but there's all this animation work gone into it. So it's obviously there's a lot of care being taken with it in other ways. So yeah, just 4 out of 5 for me. I really did enjoy it, and yeah, I just kind of wish it would be a little bit easier for me to recommend it to people because of the style that it was.
Yes, same for me. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. I really, really did enjoy it, but it is one of those movies that's kind of hard to recommend to people without them looking at you like, is there something wrong with you? Like, how can you like this film? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's probably because, like, I do kind of like this kind of thing. It's like when I went and saw A House of a Thousand Corpses, and it's like, I love the character of Captain Spaulding so much, and it's like, you can't really, like, go and recommend that movie to a lot of people because it is kind of an out there film. But I really, really think with this movie, one of the things I love about it is I really want to see what happens with Ryland Bricks and Cole Chews from here. Like, I really get the feeling that this guy could make some really, really great cinema over the next few years. And I would also love to see him, like, maybe cast in a couple of other people's films as well, because I do see like that little bit of a hint of comedic genius in there as well with him. So yeah, and with his brother, I don't think we mentioned his brother a lot during our review, but his brother Wayne Shoes, who plays Ashcroft, I would love to see those two do like a comedy sketch show together or something, because I think that'd be fantastic. So yeah, that's what I think of Lake Michigan Monster. So Lake Michigan Monster gets 4 stars from Kyle, 3.5 from me. It is a bit of a weird film, but if you like obscure cinema, it's definitely one to check out. That's it for this episode. I've been Dave G.
And I've been Kyle.
And we'll be back very, very soon with another episode of The Popcorn Conspiracy.